Do you want to create cool and inspiring events at EdAmerica? Easy. You can go to our website at www.edamerica.or.id. If you've clicked it, then choose Create an Event, then click Collaborate with Us, fill the form, upload your documents if needed, then click Submit. Still confused? Then you can download a proposal example as your guide. After you have submitted your proposal will be going through a review process by our team. And why are you still here? Go to our page now and send your creative ideas to us. We'll be waiting for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Fina, one of the advisors for EducationUSA here in EdAmerica, who is ready to help you with your study plan in the United States. We can help you with many things, and here are some of the services that we provide for you guys. And how can you get access to any of this? Very easy. Simply email us to jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. We look forward to it.
Pada Ramadan tahun ini, masyarakat di seluruh dunia, termasuk warga Amerika dan Indonesia, sedang bekerja, belajar dan beribadah dari rumah. Meskipun kita berjauhan secara fizik, semangat kita tetap bersama dalam menjadikan bulan suci Ramadan sebagai momen untuk refleksi diri dan peduli dengan sesama. Saya Heather Variava, Kuasa Usaha Interim Kedubes AS, mengucapkan selamat menunaikan ibadah puasa.
Okay. Hi everyone, how are you guys? Welcome to EdAmerica TV, back again with me, Fifi. I'm one of the EGAT in EdAmerica, and we welcome all of our audience members joining us online. We hope that you're doing well and, of course, staying safe. So for those of you guys who never know what EdAmerica is the U.S. Embassy American Center here in Jakarta, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. We have temporarily moved to a solid digital platform, but you can still enjoy us from the comfort of your own home. So for you guys who are joining us via Zoom right now, you can leave your questions at the chat box section or just simply say hi to our speakers and other participants. And please don't forget to use this feature wisely. And for those of you guys who are joining with us right now via EdAmerica website, Twitter, Facebook, and Periscope Live, you can simply leave your questions at the comment box for each platform. And in this episode, we will discuss about building strong CV's resume and letter of recommendation for U.S. graduate school applications. Before we begin, let's break the ice with a little game. So the questions for tonight's event is, true or false, Harvard provide resumes and cover letter examples to be viewed on their website. I repeat one more time, true or false, Harvard provides resume and cover letter examples to be viewed on their websites. So you guys can answer the questions by commenting at our live on Facebook at EdAmerica. So stay tuned until the end of the event of the program. We will give live shout out at the end of the event to you guys with the correct answer. So other than that, don't forget to take a selfie during the event and tag EdAmerica's Instagram account. All right, without further ado, let me introduce you to today's speaker, our lovely EducationUSA EdAmerica advisor. Say hi to Kafina. Hi. Hi, Fina. How are you?
Fifi.
Oh my God.
I'm
Good to
good.
see you
How are you?
online. Good to see you online again.
Likewise.
All right. Hope
Same
you
here.
always staying safe. Yeah.
I hope you are too.
All right. So you're gonna discuss about CV and resume tonight.
Yes, one of our favorite topics.
All right. So are you ready to start the event?
I'm ready.
All right. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Fifi. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in. Welcome back to Edamerica TV. If this is your first time, if you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Fina. I'm one of the advisors for EducationUSA based in Edamerica Pacific Place, Jakarta. But as what Fifi said, we are going virtual, but then we are so very excited because we are still able to do this session. So you're not missing out on anything related to studying in the US. We've been doing this for about, I don't know, like 3 weeks, I think, almost a month. And it's been great. EducationUSA had been doing a couple of sessions every week, a variety of topics. And today is also one of my favorite topics when we're going to talk about resume and CV and the importance of letters of recommendation. But yeah, I'm very excited to be able to do this from home. I still be able to interact with you guys. We are still waiting for maybe some people coming in into Zoom, but for those of you who are watching this from Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, and now we are also live on Instagram, welcome. If you have any question, please leave it on the comment or the chat box wherever you are, but you're also more than welcome to actually come in here in Zoom. We urge everyone to turn your camera on, but don't worry, no pressure, you don't have to, but just want to let you know that you are allowed to turn your camera on so that I can also get to see you. Again, like if you were here this past Thursday, we were talking about the 5 steps to US studies, although I talked in details more on step 1, step 2, and step 3, a little bit on step 4. Tonight, we're talking about resume and CV, and that will be under the category of step 3. If before, usually I said that I don't have any PowerPoint because I'm actually really afraid that it will bore you because yeah, I mean, every sessions that we have, I want you to actually take a lot of things with you, learn something new, but then at the same time, I don't really want to make it into like a class setting where you were just, looking at PowerPoint slide. But tonight, I'm actually going to show you a couple of slides, less than 15 slides, just so that I can show you what resume and CV looks like and, the differences between the two. Usually when I was in America, I also, always doing it with PowerPoint slide all the way to the letters of recommendation. But once we are done with the resume and CV, I'm going to turn my PowerPoint slide off and I'm just going to share with you everything about letters of recommendation. I would also say that this topic is quite popular apart from the essay writing because a lot of people, there are very significant differences when it comes to CV from Indonesia, like the Indonesian style compared to the US style, and that's what I'm going to show you tonight, as well as some myth or some misunderstanding or surrounding letters of recommendation. We're going to talk about that. So if you have any questions, you can actually wait until we open the Q&A. But at the same time, you can actually just type in the chat box here in Zoom or wherever you are watching this from. We already have like amazing Edamerica team who are standing by taking in these questions and then letting me know later on. All right. And let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, just get yourself relaxed. Happy if you just like break your fast and you still eat, maybe have some dessert or grab a tea, grab a coffee or something like that. So get yourself relaxed. I'm going to make this session as non-formal, as lively, as relaxed as possible. Yeah, again, you guys are more than welcome to turn your camera on. All right. And before we dive in to talk about resume and CV and letter of recommendation, I would like to introduce you to my colleague, Santika, who will be able to tell us who we are. If this is your first time and kind of like, who are these people? Like, who is Education USA? Like, what the kind of services that you guys do and stuff like that. I'm going to let Santika fill in on that. Hi, Santika.
Hi, Fina. Thank you for the introduction and letting us know what are we going to
Sure.
have today. So yeah, I will take it away from you to let everyone know what Education USA is. And I'm looking at the participants for tonight, and I'm seeing repeat visitors or participants. I see Alpha. I see who else? Familiar names, Widia, and yeah, welcome everybody. We are having more and more joining us tonight, and I will kind of like repeat. So I will be in the chat box and have Fina introduce me. My name is Santika. I'm one of the Education USA advisor. So I'm with Fina in at America. We are stationed there. We are usually open every day, but now we are going online, so we are online every day in Zoom meeting, and we will give you the Zoom meeting ID. Just in, I will put it in the chat box in Zoom. But for those of you who are watching this not from Zoom, not in the Zoom chat box. And I will give you the Zoom ID number, and you can take note of that. We are online from 1 until 9 p.m., except when we are doing this kind of session. And the next thing that I want to let you know is about Education USA. If you're new to our events, I want to let you know that Education USA is the US Department of State. We network over 400 international student advising center in more than 170 countries. So in Indonesia alone, we have 8 centers in total of 10 advisors. So in Jakarta, like I've mentioned, because we are in Education USA at America in Pacific Place, we have another one in the US Embassy Jakarta. We have David and Iqbal there for the advisors, and in at America, it's Fina and me. In Surabaya, we have 2. In US Consulate General, we have Hesky, and we have Mbak Ambar in Universitas Airlangga Unair in Surabaya as well. And moving on to Medan, we are located in the US Consulate Medan. We have Jeffrey there. And in Malang, we have Zaki in Universitas Muhammadiyah. And in Makassar, we have Cendani in Universitas Fajar. Last but not least, we are also in Banda Aceh. We are located in Universitas Islam Negeri in Araniri. We have Lilis there, and she's very friendly, and all of our advisors are very welcoming for anyone who wants to study in the United States. For S1, S2, or S3. So that's from bachelor, master, or PhD. Feel free to reach us out. And if you need more information, you can go to educationusa.state.gov. Everything is there. You can find all of the email center there. And we guide everybody who wants to study in the United States through the 5 steps. As Fina have mentioned, we just did one session on Thursday on the 5 steps. And I'm going to let you know what are the steps, but for the detail, you will have to try to, do online advising with us, so we can give you a bit in depth on each of the steps that you will need to go through. So the step 1 is researching your option. This is where you kind of like figure out that, oh, I need, I want to study to United States. Be it a bachelor, master, or PhD, and then you start to think of what kind of programs that suitable for you, and what kind of university that you want to try to apply to. This is where we kind of get to know you in depth as well, to get to know more about your profile and what kind of things that you may want to consider. And Fina and me like to get to know into more personal thing about our advisee, so we can give good advice to them. And on the second step, we are talking about financing your studies. So this is where we talk about, oh, I want to apply for scholarship. Oh, is there any financial aid or other funding options for me for my program? So this is where we talk about the financing your studies. In Indonesia, for Indonesian students, most advisees are going for the LPDP or the Fulbright. Those are two full funded, but of course it's not just limited to those two. So you can totally try to find other funding options, and we are here to try to guide you there. And on the third one, this is the big part of the step, and kind of like what we really focus on the third step is completing your application. This includes giving you review on your essay, CV, and resume, letter of recommendations. We only do give review on your essay and CV or resume, not so much on the letter of recommendation, because that's not what we are doing. So yeah, and other documents that you need, and other things like tests, standardized tests that you will have to take. And the fourth one is applying for your student visa. That means when you got accepted to any US universities, you will have to apply for the visa. When that time is up for you, we have the step-by-step for you. And on the fifth one is the prepare for your departure. We hold a pre-departure orientation every year, and we are hoping to host another one again this year, despite of the condition. So hopefully we can do that as soon as we are back. America is open again. So that's the all 5 steps of the pre-departure of the studying in the United States. And without further ado, I think I will give it back to Fina. But before that, I will let you know that you can use this chat box, because I don't see new chat after I blabber so long. You can use this chat box to interact, to ask questions and everything. I will be there, and I'll be giving information there. So feel free to turn on your video again if you want to. And if you want to ask questions directly to Fina by turning on your video or your microphone by unmuting it, let me know so we can have more direct interaction. Okay, I'll give it back to Fina.
All right, thank you so much, Santika. All right, guys, are you guys ready? But you know what? Let me just tell you guys that you can expect that we're going to have a lot of the other amazing sessions for the following weeks. Next week is actually another interesting topics that we're going to talk on Friday, and we're going to move the time a little bit. So instead of we start at 7, we are going to start at 7:30. So you guys have more time to buka puasa and all that, for those of you who practice the Ramadan. But yeah, so we're going to start at 7:30, and on Friday, I can't wait for it. It's going to be just another discussion between Santika and I and you guys. We're going to take as many questions as possible. So I'm basically I don't have any presentation slides whatsoever. We're going to just talk. I want to really get to know you guys, and if you guys have any questions, ask us. It's the event is called AMA, with EducationUSA America Advisors. If you know AMA, ask me anything. So yeah, you can actually ask a lot of questions. And then on the Saturday, I also can't wait to have this session where we're going to have a interview style with one of the Indonesians who just recently got accepted to one of the highly selective universities in the US. He also has received a scholarship, and so we want to hear from him basically all his journey in the application process to the US. All right, so please stay tuned to our events next week. And I'm actually have a couple of questions in the polling. I would want to get to know you, but I think I'm going to do it in the middle of the events, just in case there are more people coming in. But okay, so I'm going to pull up my presentation slides. I'm guessing it will not be more than 7 minutes. All right, so we're going to talk. So tonight I'm going to start with looking at the differences or the similarities between the resume and CV. Okay, let me just pull up my presentation slide here, and I hope you can see it. So CV and resume, let's see what's the difference between the two. So CV or curriculum vitae, it means course of life. So just like what it's called, it's basically everything and literally everything that you've been doing, um, uh, starting your higher education, meaning college, you will want to put there. You don't want to put high school. That is something that I've seen a lot in our CV in Indonesia. But we start with higher education, which is college and beyond. All right. With CV, technically there is no page limit, but since we are going to use CV for U.S. universities and in the US, when it comes to a master's degree or PhD, every department, they are very decentralized. So meaning it means that they have their own regulation. They can, like one department can say, I want resume and no CV. And then the other department say, I want CV and no resume, although they are under the same university. So you will want to come back to the universities that you're going to apply for that exact department, okay? And then see if they actually mention anything about the page limit for CV. But the easy way to understand with CV, technically you don't have any page limit, so that you can actually write as long as you want. And then you're putting everything in there. It's a high level of detail about your achievement. And it's more than just career. So everything, if you have like any volunteer experience, it covers education, teaching, and research experience, awards, presentation, anything, right? And it doesn't change as time goes on, but you keep adding things there. So that's CV, all right? With resume, it means summary in French. It's really interesting because CV, it means course of life in Latin, and then resume is actually taking it from French, but it means summary. So what does that mean? So the easiest way to understand resume is it's a summary from CV. All right. So I see that resume is actually not that common, at least the term of resume is not that common here in Indonesia. We are more familiar with CV. However, I also see that sometimes when you think what you have is CV, the way I look at it is actually a resume. And let's see here. Why is that the case? It's because resume typically it's not longer than one page, a maximum of 2 pages, but then you don't want to go over. Right? It's a summary of your education, experience, and skills. If the university is asking for a resume instead of CV, that means they do not really want to spend too long in reading your resume. I would say probably no more than 30 seconds. I know it sounds crazy, but it is, because every time they look at every applicant, they have to actually move it. They have to actually do it really quickly. And if they ask resume, they means they just want to get the like your profile in like education and experience and skills perspective really quickly. All right, and the goal here is to make an individual stand out from other applicants. And the difference with CV is you want to keep changing your resume to whatever that is that you're going to use resume for. All right. So if let's say your CV, basically it's everything is there. So maybe you are a lawyer, but then you actually put some other activities that is not related to law whatsoever. Maybe you are, like doing some sports, or you do like some volunteering, teaching English and stuff like that. That is going to be on your CV, right? With a resume, let's say you're going to use a resume for applying for a master's degree for law school, then you want to adapt your resume to make it that is everything is mostly about law, if you actually already have that in your CV. Okay, so with those only 2 slides, we can make a conclusion. The 3 major differences between CV and resume is the length, the purpose, the layout. So those 3. All right, so what does that mean? So CV, it's long. You can actually go over as no page limit technically. Resume is short. We want to keep it 1 page. If you can actually make it to 1 page, amazing. If you cannot, 2 pages is okay. The purpose, it covers entire career, regardless, it's maybe you just like everything, right? While with resume, it adapts to purpose. What do you want to use the resume for? And the layout, it's static, meaning that it just stays there. Like you don't change anything, at least for the first few pages, and then you just keep adding things there, right? Where with a resume, it's highly customizable. So let's take a look, and this is when I really want you to pay attention, because you're going to realize how different your resume or your CV that you already have with what we are going to use when you are ready to submit your application, submit your resume or CV, right? So let's start with, because I can't put like everything in one screen because it will look very small, so I just cut some. So let's see from the first part. The left one is the resume, the second one is CV, and then you see here the resume on the left one because the person is really worried about making it only one page. The person actually plays around with how he or she puts the information there, right? Like you can see here, like the phone number, email, and address. The person makes it into one line. Whereas with CV, he doesn't care. Like I have like all the pages that I want, so it's okay to actually make it per like line by line, and everything has to be in the U.S. letter. Fortunately, in Indonesia, we use alphabet, so it's already good. Contact information is on top. I think that is similar with what we have here in Indonesia. The color of the paper, please make it as boring as white. You can make it gray, but let's keep it to just like simply white. To be completely honest with you, our CV, some of our CV here in Indonesia looks amazing, looks very creative. Oftentimes I see that, there is like the left side full of contact information and very personal information. And then the right side is, like everything else, like your education and working experience and all that. But that way, it will take some time for me to just try to understand you better doing it that way, left and right, because some people can get it kind of like confused, like, okay, which one should I read first? And we want to make it as simple as possible with what I'm showing you guys here. All right, size, keep it to 12. Some people make it a bit smaller to 11, but don't do it at 10 because it's very obvious that it's too small. 11 is fine if you are really worried about the page limit, but normally it's 12, okay? And then the rest of what the resume and CV looks like is the content is in reverse chronological order, or the most recent first. I don't see this is a problem here in Indonesia. Most of us already put that way. So you want to put the most recent first on top. And this is something that is a bit different with what we have here in Indonesia. No I statement or first person when you're trying to explain your work experience. Oftentimes also I see a lot of us instead of, so for example, like, I work with EducationUSA in America, and then below that, oftentimes we make like a paragraph explaining my responsibility and everything, and we want to avoid that because then it will make more time for the reader to actually really read that paragraph and try to understand. It will be more easier if you actually make it into bullet points, right? And not just putting your job descriptions, but you also want to put your responsibility and achievements. This is something that I actually don't really see that often here with my advisee's resume and CV. So that's that. And this is like what the overall of one page of resume look like. Very simple, very clean. Some people might see it really just like that. It looks really boring, like no picture, it's just like black and white. But I totally understand why the US style is like this, because, like when I can imagine like when I, sitting down and then, okay, I'm ready to review Fina's application, right? And then I have to do it real quick because I have like other applicants that I need to review their application on. And so I need to do it really quick when it comes to resume or CV. And then by reading it like this, it's just like boom, like, okay, every black, and then this person lives in Michigan, and then education. Oh, okay, so this person went here and there. Experience. Oh, this person got this GPA, and then every timeline, the month is actually everything is on the right side, very clear, and everything is in bullet points, so I can actually like quickly understand exactly what this person is doing. So we want to use this kind of layout. Okay. And this is what the CV looks like. This is just the first page, and you can see here it's not that different than resume. But if you see this person lingers a little bit more in the education, this person wants to mention about more of like his experience under the education sector, including research interests. Here in Indonesia, we can actually definitely put your thesis. You don't see it here in the resume. It's just because that in the US, when it comes to bachelor's degree or S1, it's not that common for people to actually do thesis. In Indonesia, it's more common that way. So then we can definitely want to show that off. All right. And but then pretty much similar. We got research experience, teaching experience, and there is no one rule fits all in terms of the name of the category. You can call it professional experience, you can call it working experience. So in that sense, we can be a bit more, we have more flexibility, right? But what I would like to really tell you tonight is more on the outlook of it. And then you can actually have as many categories as possible. This person turns out he has a lot, like he wants to put honors and awards, leadership, service to the university, publication. And you don't have to worry if you don't actually have that this many experiences, but if you do, then we definitely want to put it there. You can put references for sure in the resume here. It's if you still have some space left, you can put reference, but you don't have to, because we're going to use it for applying for US universities. And references it means more like recommenders, like someone who will write it in the letters of recommendation. So we can skip that. And but yeah, and right. So now let's take a look at how is it different in Indonesia. And I'm going to pull up this slide, and who has this kind of CV? This is the one that is very common here in Indonesia. I'm pretty sure the majority of us have our headshot in there. This is very common elsewhere, in other countries in Asia, even Europe, not in the US. If you were here last Thursday, you may already know that how US is just like very different in so many things. And I found that really interesting, and I prefer it that way. Like when it comes to essay, for example, it's just completely different than other countries, and similar with resume and CV. And we have a reason why you don't want to put headshot and some other unnecessary information. And what unnecessary information I was talking about? Let's see here. First, no picture. So if you have picture right now and you're receiving your resume, take it out. Like, you don't want that, all right? No religion. It blows my mind when the first time I saw my friend's CV or resume, and there's so many information that I found a bit interesting. Like, why do you put like religion in there, right? No marital status. This is something that I would kind of like laugh about, to be completely honest with you guys. Marital status, single, married, and then I remember asking my friend, wait, so if I just recently divorced, I'm going to set that recently divorced on my CV. Will that make my CV looks bad? And so no marital status and no other unnecessary information. I saw people put speaking skill, communication skill, and then you have like some kind of like number 1 to 10, and how exactly yeah, no, so we want that, we don't want that. All right, and we have a reason, and I'm going to talk about, like, we have a reason and why the US, they don't want to see that, and they don't even care about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So we're going to do a little bit, this is just like one slide, I promise I'm not going to bore you with a lot of these things, but I just want to let you guys know, like, why the US is just like different than other countries. So Title 7 said, of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 said, a federal law that prohibits employers from discriminating against employees on the basis of sex, race, color, national origin, and religion. The good news is Title 7 also applies to private and public colleges and universities, employment agencies, and labor organizations. And obviously, because tonight we're talking about education, higher education, so this Title 7 is actually applicable to when it comes to CV, right? The key word here that I would like to share with you is the word discriminating. If you ask me personally, I believe that when you actually ask someone's resume and CV and you actually expect that person to put a headshot, why? The employer might want to see like what that person looks like, or maybe that person wearing a hijab and that the employer doesn't want someone who wears a hijab. That's discriminating. That is really discriminating, right? And this is what I love about, I'm very biased because I'm an EducationUSA advisor, right? But then if you just like simply, like stop for a while and really think about it, it's really discriminating. They don't care about like what religion you are. They don't care about like your sex. They don't care about like your race. They don't care about your age. So that's another thing that I actually see a lot in people's CV. They put age in there, like your date of birth. No, in the US, they don't really care. They don't really care about any of that, right? So I want to stay for quite a while in this section so that you can kind of like, now you will be the expert, so after tonight you're going to tell your friends, like, do you know that in the US, when it comes to resume or CV, you don't put any of this discriminating things. All right, so that's it with resume and CV. It's very straightforward, and then that's also something that, of course, Santika and I will be able to take a look at your at this document, resume or CV. So I really hope that by you attending this event tonight, I really appreciate it, so that when you want us to take a look at your resume and CV, I really, really appreciate it if you already have the US style. But it's okay if you still have your the Indonesian style. What we're usually going to tell you is either you attend this session because I just showed you what the resume and CV is supposed to look like, or we're going to send you the sample of the resume and CV, so you don't have to worry. All right, that's it. I'm going to stop my PowerPoint now, because we're going to talk about letters of recommendation. I do have like a lot of slides in this, but then again, I don't want to bore you guys. So let's just continue me talking here. But I would like to check if we have questions, Santika, or should I just go on?
Yeah. I don't know what happened tonight, that most of our participants, I think your presentation is very clear. So I don't have any
You don't have any questions so far?
Yes.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep saying, like, I like when I was when I did this presentation at America, and when it came to the Q&A session and nobody asked a question, I take it as a compliment. Like, I told people that, oh, no questions, so that means my presentation is really, really that straightforward. And then people started asking questions. So don't worry, maybe right now you're still kind of like trying to really understand the whole thing. Maybe you're trying to, like try to really getting it with this resume and CV. All right, and now let's talk about letters of recommendation. That's another thing that is equally important. And because resume and CV is quite straightforward, I just, combine the two, although those two are very different. So if I said earlier that Santika and we can actually, give reviews on your resume and CV and essay, that's for sure. How about letters of recommendation? That's something that a lot of our advisees sometimes come to America, or now that we're going virtual, would send the letters of recommendation, and we have to turn that down. We have to turn that down. We cannot read your letters of recommendation. So let's start with what is letters of recommendation. Although I'm pretty sure the majority of you guys already know. So letters of recommendation is basically, like someone else who really, really knows you well, basically vouching for you, talked everything good about yourself and why you deserve to be a student in that whatever universities that you're going to apply, right? And I see that some differences when it comes to letter of recommendation, some misunderstanding surrounding this, where a lot of us, I want to say this is part of a culture here in Indonesia, where if you ask your recommender, whoever that is, they tend to tell you that, you know what, can you just write what you want to write in the letter of recommendation about yourself, and then I'm just going to sign it, right? And it's no longer a secret here in Indonesia that a lot of us, if not all of us, do that. And this is something that I would like to clarify. When it comes to the US, ethically speaking, that is not the way, right? Ethically speaking, you are not supposed to write the letters of recommendation. And I know you will say, but the recommenders is super busy, or the recommenders, can't really write in English that well. And however, how hard I try to explain to the person still prefer me to write the letter of recommendation. So at the end of the day, I'm writing the letter of recommendation on my own. Again, that's if you want to end up doing that, you want to take your own risk. But again, ethically speaking, it's not right. When I first joined EducationUSA, and when I still, trying to learn so much about the US application process when it comes to master's degree and PhD, I would one time or a couple of times would read people's letters of recommendation. And first of all, I'm not an English native speaker. My English is so far away from perfect. But I remember this one student where we had a session reading an essay, and then he wants me to take a look at the letters of recommendation. So I started with the essay first, and then I left some comments here and there in the essay, and so all good. And then the person said, "Fina, can you take a look at my letter of recommendation?" And I said, "Sure, yeah, why not?" My understanding is already that, of course, when it comes to letters of recommendation, it's supposed to be written by the recommender. And so when I read the letter of recommendation, again, me as someone who is not an English native speaker, I said, "Wait, did you write this? Because I can totally see the similarities on your writing style with your essay." And the person said, "Oh yeah, I wrote it because the recommenders asked me to do it." And I was just like, really? And then after that, I learned that it is how we're doing it here in Indonesia. And so, of course, I asked the experts, which is the admissions committee in the US, and not just to one university, but I asked to a lot of universities. Every time there is an admission committee stopping by to Indonesia, for example, or when I was in the US doing, training or all that, every time I met an admission committee, this is one of the questions that I asked them. And then I tried to connect the dots with their answers, right? So hear me out. So what they said is, this is a letters of recommendation. First of all, they found it shocking that, that we are doing it this way in Indonesia, where the applicant actually wrote it on behalf of the recommender. And they said, no, they can't do it. It's if they, for some reason, found out that you're doing that, it's fatal. They will disqualify your application status just like that, even though your essay is amazing, your GR is almost full score and everything, because that ethical, like when we talk about like being ethical, that's not right at all, right? And then they said, and then I voiced the concerns here, you know, like some recommenders are super busy. In that sense, the admissions committee said, well, find another recommenders if they are that busy that they don't really care about the applicants plan to apply for higher education, then maybe that recommender is actually not the right person. So move on to the other recommender, right? And then when I said about also, how about some of your recommenders, they are not confident in writing it in English, because again, like Indonesia, English is not our first language and everything. And then this is when things I found it really interesting, right? They said, oh, don't worry, if they can't write really good English, it's a letter. It's a letter for us. It's a letter. So either the person, they are more than welcome to send both letters in original language, and then the sworn translator with using a sworn translator in the other document, they're totally fine with it. So this is something that I would like to tell you. If you got like a recommender when they said, saya benar-benar nggak bisa nulis bahasa Inggris gitu ya misalnya, and so you can tell them, don't worry, if the person is actually feel more comfortable in writing it in bahasa, you can help that person, or you can actually find a sworn translator and then get that letter translated. But then again, the point here is, we don't want you to be the writer, because again, like back to that incident when I just joined, where I can easily found out that the letter of recommendation was being written by the same person, which is the applicant themselves, and we definitely do not want your status to be qualified, right? So that's that. So I hope you understand by now. And because before we were going digital, this is also part of our monthly event, and I believe that it worked, because I don't see that many people actually come into Santika or myself where they are asking for, you know, for us to read the letters of recommendation. So it's good, and I would like to keep sharing this information tonight to those of you who don't know about this. And so what can you do about it when you're in that situation, right? Again, like if the person is really that busy to the point where they just, you know, they don't have time to write it for you, maybe that person is just not really that interested in your plan or to vouch for you, right? And so and let me come back a little bit. If you're still wondering who should actually write the letter of recommendation, this is also something that you definitely want to come back to the university websites, because there are a number of universities where they just simply say submit two letters of recommendation, and that's it. They don't elaborate anything else. So in that case, you basically have more options in finding the recommenders. But technically, the recommenders are coming from two fields. One is the faculty members from the education side. Can be someone, you're the dean of that major when you did your bachelor's degree, or it can be a faculty member or professors, or anybody that you believe that person can really, you know, like talk a lot of good things about you. And the other one is from the professional side, which is your supervisors. And when it comes to professional side, it can actually be a lot. It can be your as close as your supervisor, or it can be your boss's boss, or your boss's boss's bosses. But at the end of the day, it has to be someone who really knows you. And this is another question that we got a lot from our advisees, where they ask, this is something that very Indonesian centric, where a lot of us believe that when it comes to letters of recommendation, the recommenders have to be someone whose position is as high as possible. And when it comes to the US, it has a good point if you can actually find someone who is, like very high up there. But the key point here is that person has to know you really well. And that will be reflected in the letters itself. So letter of recommendation, the one that I can share with you tonight, something that you will easily remember or understand, is that letters of recommendation is almost similar like the essay, like the U.S. admission essay. Only that the U.S. admission essay is written by you, and letter of recommendation is written by someone else who vouch for you. So this is also what makes letters of recommendation also crucial. It will help the whole holistic system in the US. Holistic means they are not just looking at your grade, they're not just going to look at your GRE score and all that, but they're looking at everything, including the letters of recommendation. So in the letter of recommendation, we do not want the recommender to just say, I know Fina from blah, 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 and Fina has a good communication skill, and that's it, right? But that person really wants to elaborate. Like, okay, I have a good communication skill. Please explain in what way that I have good communication skill. Or maybe I have, this person has a good leadership skill. One time when we had this project, he initiated da, 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 da. Right? Or this person has good communication skill. One time we were in a situation where our boss is not available, and then this person initiated to blah, blah, talk to one of the government officials, blah, 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 something like that, right? So it has to be very, very deep. What the university is actually really looking for when they are reading the letters of recommendation is they want to get to know you personally from someone else, like hearing from someone else, which is hearing from the recommenders, right? And let's see, what do I have here? My key points that I want to tell you. So in order for you to actually have a really strong letters of recommendation, it's no other than someone who really knows you well. So if you have, hopefully you have a really good relationship with your supervisor, probably, then that person can definitely be the one who will write the letter of recommendation. Another question that I get a lot is, Fina, can my friend or my colleague write the letter of recommendation? The simple answer is no. It has to be someone above you. So it cannot be someone that is on the same level as you. All right, let me stop there because I see a lot of like chat in Zoom chat box, a lot of things going on here, and I started to get distracted here, and then I can't wait to just get some of the questions. Do we have some questions now, Santika?
So yeah, we have some questions now.
Good.
One from Facebook. Can I ask one question? When I want to apply like Fulbright scholarship, do I use CV America or Indonesia to apply this scholarship? I think this is a good question, Tina.
That is a really good question that, I would say, because with Fulbright, you can definitely ask them. And if I'm not mistaken, in their application, like in their application forms, in a way, they are already asking a lot of questions that is somewhat similar to CV. I don't have like the exact answer. This is definitely something that you definitely want to consult with the Fulbright team. But if I'm not mistaken, I think once you submit your application, it will be reviewed in the US by the team in the US. So I would say probably if you can have it in the US style, I'm pretty sure they will appreciate it. But I don't also see why not if you want to submit it in Indonesian style, because knowing Fulbright is it's from the US, but they have it pretty much like all over the world, and like I said earlier, other countries pretty much have the same CV style as we do with the headshot and everything. So I'm pretty sure the Fulbright in the US completely understand if that is the CV that you have. But now that you attend this session and now that you know what US CV looks like, if I were you, I would definitely make it into the US style.
Yeah, I agree with you, Fina. So it's like you just make this one CV or resume, then you can use it for the Fulbright and then the university application at the same time. But again, it only makes sense that using the US version for Fulbright, and maybe for LPDP is going to be like the Indonesian CV.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fina,
and to add to that is, if you can actually make the US CV and also keep your Indonesian CV for your future users here in Indonesia, but if you can actually also have the US CV, it will save your time, because we never know, when you were in the US, you might want to apply for an internship or maybe an OPT, or like a job after you graduate, and then there you go. You already know what the US CV looks like, and to avoid embarrass yourself by giving the US CV. And why do I use the word embarrass? Because I would say people will quite laugh at what we have with the pictures and everything, because that's something that is definitely not common in the US. And they will be like, a headshot, interesting. Why do you think you want me to take a look at what you look like? But so yeah, and I hope this session is like helpful enough so that you can save your time to start making the US CV from now on.
right. So, Fina, we suddenly have a lot of questions coming in.
Oh, yay! I love it. Well, you know what? I think I pretty much cover pretty much like everything in the resume, CV, and letters of recommendation. So then, now let's just have some chat.
So so one from Adnan in Instagram is: the letter of recommendation should come from professor or PhD lecturer.
Okay. That letter of recommendation. Yeah. So I covered that earlier too.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely something that you want to really make sure in the university website, because there are some universities where they care less about who should write the letters of recommendation. So in that case, they probably in their requirements, like when they ask you submit your TOEFL with the score, statement of purpose and all that, and then and in the letters of recommendation, they can just say to submit 2 letters of recommendation, and that's it. They don't elaborate on from where. So in that case, you can choose. You can now, and it's nicer that way. If you can find universities like that, that's great, because that means you can just think of who do you think, starting from your S1 experience until now, until today, who do you think someone who can vouch for you, right? So if you, and if the answer is 2 of my professors, and maybe for whatever reason you don't have like that good relationship with your supervisor, and you know that person can't really vouch for you, then there you go. 2 professors will write your or here you said PhD lecturer. If you have that, then that person will write your letter of recommendation. But there are some other universities where they are very specific. They can say, submit 3 letters of recommendation, 1 from academic, the other one from professional, and the third one is your choice. So that means it can be from academic or from professional. So in that case, we definitely want to really follow whatever the university is asking for. And this is also why when we want to apply for a number of universities in the US, it will be so much easier if you can actually create an Excel sheet where maybe you want to apply to 5 different universities, and they might ask you different things when it comes to letters of recommendation, including resume and CV. Maybe one university asking for resume only, not CV. That means don't submit CV. The other one maybe ask for a combination of resume and CV. So for example, I found this in one of the departments, I forgot, in Harvard University. That specific department, they don't ask for a resume nor CV, but a combination of it. And the good thing about it is they actually give you the sample of what they are really expecting to be when it comes to this combination of resume and CV. So it will be easier if you can create an Excel sheet and then okay, this university asking for one recommendation letter, the other one too, and so on.
All right, so we actually covered some other people's question as well by answering that question, because there are a lot of questions that's quite similar. So this one is about CV, Fina. So the question is from Penny Octaviani in Instagram as well. Is the voluntary activity need to be in the CV? So should we put in like volunteer work in our CV or not?
The short answer is absolutely. So yes, if you have a lot of volunteer experience, you definitely want to put that. Again, because technically CV doesn't have a page limit, so you literally want to put every single thing that you've been doing so far with your life after high school in the CV. So no matter abstract the activity is, maybe you are an engineer, an engineer, but then you actually have been doing volunteering activity where you're teaching English to people in some area in Jakarta, for example. So that's like two different things that is really different. But then, yeah, you definitely want to put it there. When it comes to a resume, however, unless you have a lot of space available, because when it comes to a resume, we also want to try not to make it only like half a page. We want to make it, if possible, to make it full page. And this is especially challenging for people who just recently graduated and they don't have that many experience. And so in that case, you want to put volunteer in there. But if for whatever reason you don't have that space anymore, because for example you're an engineer and then you have just so many engineering related activities that you've been doing, working and volunteering, and maybe you're attending like some events in outside Indonesia or something like that, where you don't really have a room to mention that you've been doing like some volunteer works teaching English, then we want to sacrifice that volunteer part.
Okay, so the next question is actually you already kind of like explain it in your presentation. So this is from Johanna. How many letters of recommendation needed to apply master degree in US? And do you have guidance to create good letter of recommendation and probably example, or can you share with us? So yeah, like Fina have mentioned, the number of letters depends on the university. So you have to check there. It varies, right, from one to another university, but generally in minimum of 2. Am I right, Fina?
Yes. Yeah. So the university normally will ask 2. It's not common where they are only asking 1. So usually 2. But it can go up to 3 as well. So yeah, the quick answer to that is to definitely relate to the university. So there is no like one answer to this question, because like I said earlier, when it comes to master's degree in the US, they are very decentralized. So from one department to another department, although it's under the same university, they can like ask you like a complete different things. And then the next one is guidance to create a good letter of recommendation. I was actually debating with myself tonight whether or not I should show the sample. But since you asked, you know what? Let me just pull up real quick, if I may. I'm going to share screen just to show you what. And this is something that you can actually found it online as well. I found this from UC Berkeley. So if you just Google it, I don't know if it's still there, but if you just Google it, UC Berkeley letters of recommendation, a letter of recommendation sample. They will have this in the PDF. So give me 1 second. I'm going to share screen this real quick.
Okay, so while Fina is pulling up that sheet or presentation, it's there.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So this is what the letters, the old school letters of recommendation. There are still some universities where they literally asking for like a letter, like hard copy letters. And this is what do you want to have? What do you want the letter of recommendation to look like? And this is just the first part, the university letterhead. This is assuming that the recommenders is coming from the university, from academic. They have the university letterhead, and then the name, and the date and everything. And then this is what the letters itself look like. So the first paragraph, and again, this is something that you can definitely not copy, of course not, but you can read it and like really try to understand better what should be in the letter. So the first paragraph is usually the recommenders will talk a little bit about themselves, how this, not too much, because the letters is not about them. The letters is about you. This is also something that kind of like misunderstanding when it comes to letter of recommendation, because a lot of us thought when it comes to letter of recommendation, it has to be someone who is like really, really high up there. But no, like they don't, the universities in the US, they almost to the point where they don't care who wrote it. They just want to simply know that this person like really can vouch for the student. So the first paragraph is usually something about a little bit about themselves and how that person know you. And this one, it's someone who knows the applicant from a class, right? And then the second and third paragraph, and then I believe we got, the second, third, and fourth, or maybe let's say second and third, is everything about you. So now you have a better idea of how long that person should be vouching for you. So here, I don't know like how many words in this 2 paragraphs, second and third, but we can see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 13 lines, assuming that this is a 12 font, talking about you. And this is an example where the person is talking about, start with, okay, what are you good at? Jane is highly intelligent and has good analytical skills, but then that person is just not just like speaking on the surface and explaining what the general idea of being intelligent and has good analytical skills is about, but like very detailed, giving a scene of like when Jane really shows that skills. And that is what your recommender will also want to write. And so we want to help the recommenders we don't want the recommenders, we don't want to put a lot of burden in the recommenders when it comes to writing this. So maybe that person might not know exactly what to write. And this is definitely something that it is okay for you to give the key points on what you're expecting the recommenders to write. I know maybe some of you kind of like, wait, I thought you said that we're not supposed to write it. It's different. It's 2 different things, right? The first one that I keep saying earlier is you're not supposed to write the letters. But in terms of the content, it is okay. And as long as the recommenders say that they allow you to read whatever in that letter. Because there are actually some recommenders where they want to keep it confidential. Where, you know what, you asked me to write it, I'll be happy to write it for you, but I want to keep it as confidential as possible, that only the university can know, and I'm not going to share the content to you. But that's something that I don't really see that often here. It's always like the opposite, right? Because to the point where the recommenders ask you to write it. So so here Jane has good, highly intelligent and good analytical skills. And then the person move on to Jane has excellent communication skills. This is something that's very general, right? Almost everyone can probably say that this person has good communication skills. And oftentimes, I would also assume that when it comes to explaining what good communication skills mean, the person is more on explaining just like what good communication skills in general, but not so much like in depth. And in this case, you want to really show one moment where Jane is really show the communication skill. So that's that. And then the next paragraph is mostly really vouching about that person, kind of like, yeah, I believe that Jane will be a great benefit for this institution and yada yada yada, right? And that's it. So I'm gonna stop there, and then hopefully hopefully it's pretty clear by now. And again, that's something that you can actually simply Googling it to see the sample. Yep.
So yeah, it's very clear and complete information that you provided. I hope it's answering the question that we read before you answer that. So for everyone here and for everyone who is watching right now, whether you're in Zoom or other platform like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, if you have any questions that you asked but you don't really catch the answer, you can definitely contact us through email or just simply join us in Zoom meeting every day. We are available from 1 until 9 p.m. I'm going to read out the Zoom meeting ID and our email address as well. So here we go. Zoom meeting ID available from 1 until 9 p.m. 276-124-396. And our email is jakarta.america@educationusa.org. So, okay. So thanks, for Niall. I will put this in the chat box as well. So I will let you guys know, the address and everything in the chat box. And I will answer 2 short questions before Niall is standing by to ask Fina questions directly. So Fina can have a little break. So yeah, I will read out the 2 questions. So this is related, this is from Alfat and Niall. From Alfat and Bagas. So it's correlated with LinkedIn. If you know LinkedIn, it's a platform where you kind of like put it professionally, where you work, where you studied, and what you actually involve in any organizations. So the question is, do you know if LinkedIn could automatically create a CV based on your profile? And can we use it as a formal CV, or we have to create ourselves? That's from Bagas. And from Alfat. In writing resume, is it okay to write a short summary of who you are, like the about section in LinkedIn? For example, I'm a hardworking, passionate person, yada, yada, yada. So my answer to these 2 questions is actually, I never tried to generate the CV from the LinkedIn, even though I have LinkedIn. So I would say it depends on what kind of template that is generated from LinkedIn. If the template that is generated is already in the US template, the one that Fina kind of showed you, a few minutes ago, then you may be able to use it as long as you think it's appropriate for the US CV. So it depends on what the template is and the content. So I want to stress on the content. So you want to make sure that the content is good. So despite of where you generated it from, as long as the content and the template is good, then you can use it. And then for the next question is about, writing your profile on top for resume, because you are expected to have 1 or 2 pages. I don't think it's a good idea to include that because it's taking some space, unless you don't really have too much things, like maybe you are a fresh graduate or high school students and you want to make it look better by filling the spaces in the pages, then that's when you can put in the about or short profile on top. But otherwise, I don't recommend that. Okay, we have Niall Andrew. Hi, Niall.
Sorry, bentar.
Hello.
So yeah, you have a question to ask Fina.
Oh yeah.
All
Hello.
yours.
Do you hear
Hi.
me?
Yes, I can
Yes,
see you as well.
Okay. Yeah, Vina.
Yes.
Uh, how should I call you?
Come again?
How should I call you? Sorry.
Just Vina. Just call me Vina.
Okay, Vina. Okay. So yeah, I have a question. So I'm interested to apply for PhD in the USA,
Perfect.
but I rarely saw any Indonesian who take the PhD, or maybe just I who don't know it about it. My question is, yeah, PhD in the USA is a very competitive program. But what I want to ask is, how do I prepare for the everything before I'm starting to apply? I have about maybe 2 years before starting to apply.
You mean like how to start preparing your application?
Yeah, I mean, they ask for research,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't think I have a research.
Okay. Got it. Cool. Yeah. That's a really good question. Thank you so much. I'll be happy to answer it in a second. I think this is also the same question with Blessed Norana Baban from asking in Instagram. Hopefully he's still watching from other platform. She's asking, I'm going to apply as PhD student at the US, but not really understand the majority of the application needed. So this is basically the same question with Yabonile. Thanks for asking that question. So yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit off topic, which is completely fine, although we're talking about resume and a lot of information tonight, but happy to take any kind of questions. So when it comes to a PhD in the US, you will still have to apply the standard application process, like how master's students are doing. So similar, they are going to ask you for your TOEFL or IELTS. They definitely going to take a look at your transcript. They're asking you to write your essay. They might ask you to do GRE or GMAT, although not all PhD programs will ask you that. But the one thing that is really common when it comes to do a PhD in the US is contacting the professor. Because when it comes to a PhD in the US, they are quite using a personal approach. So yes, at the end of the day, you're going to submit everything like what I said earlier, but then you will want to create that kind of connection with the professors first. And that kind of connection will go really great if you can already have your research proposal. So that when you start introducing yourself to the professor, you kind of like want to check the water first, kind of like introduce yourself a little bit and then give the professor kind of like, like a short summary of yourself. And you can actually give your statement of purpose, because statement of purpose is the shorter version of your research proposal. And you're writing it so much, it sounds more like a story instead of like a research paper, so that for the professors, it will be really nice for him or her to actually start to get to know your intention, like the kind of research that you want to do. And then you want to check with that person. If that person shows some kind of like an interest back, trying to get to know you, they will reply your email. They will go to the point where they will ask you to do a Skype or maybe like a Zoom meeting, so that that person will get to know you better. So when it comes to doing a PhD in the US, what we have seen to most, if not all of our advisees in the past who are successfully doing PhD in the US, is that personal approach to the professor. So that would be the short version answer. But then again, once you have that kind of relationship with the professor, that professor, if they really, really want to work with you, they can be really, really, well, I don't want to say aggressive, like in a good way. You know what I mean? They will keep asking you like, submit your application as soon as possible. I can't wait to work with you. So see like how it's very personal. And yes, it is like really how the kind of relationship, the kind of feedback that that is possible, that you will get from the professor. So I will stop there, and I hope you understand what I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, if you know, in the future you need more guidance, or let's say you wrote a statement of purpose and you want to show it to Fina or me, feel free to reach us out. It's in the chat box already, and we are
if I can add a little bit, the one thing that I can't review is going to be your research proposal, because that's something that we don't feel confident enough to give you feedback on, because that's, you know, the level is so high up there. And so yeah, we can't do research proposal, but very happy to take a look at your statement of purpose. And last year alone, I have about 4 or 5 of them wanting to pursue PhD, and they did, you know, like back and forth with us with the statement of purpose. But thank you so much for that question. I hope it helps. And yeah, let's continue this conversation via Zoom.
Okay, thank you, Yuefonile. And to answer that, actually, we have, I think I remember one of my advisee contact me that he got admitted for PhD in oceanography or something about ocean, which is quite cool and unusual. So it's not that rare. So we really encourage you to pursue your PhD and seek our guidance if you need one. And we are moving to the last question for tonight, Fina.
Sure.
Yeah, and we are back to the CV part, or the resume part. So this is from Sarah in Zoom. Shall we attach the proven docs to explain activities that we did? So it's like certificate or anything that's like a proof. Should we like attach that?
That's actually a really good question. I would say no, unless the universities have a specific section on their online application portal, where, you know, there are a number of universities where they, you know, at the very end of, you know, after you submit everything else, they have like one section where they said, if you want to submit anything else to prove, you know, something like that, feel free to submit some of the documents. Oftentimes they don't ask that. They don't have that. So that means they're really, you know, don't want to go that far by really checking in, really check if you really have that certificate. And I feel like this is also what makes the US is really great, because almost, you know, like I throw words tonight like ethical. This is similar to, because a lot of people actually ask me like, but how do they know I did what I say I did on my resume, right? It's all about trust. But hopefully doesn't go too far where people start lying in their resume, because then again, being ethical, we don't want that. But the universities so far have been really, really put a lot of trust in you. If you say that you have this certificate or whatever, then they will believe you on that. So yeah.
Okay, so that's all of our questions for tonight. And again, if you have questions that pop up after this event, feel free to reach us out in Zoom or email us jakarta.atamerika@educationusa.org. So Vina have things to add.
So yeah, thank you so much. Just my last words before we close the event. If you're watching this, thanks for joining us, and just want to let you know, if you are planning to study for fall 2021, this is like the perfect timing to start. I've been quite busy. So I think I've been busy, although we are working from home, but we've been having like a number of advisees already planned for fall 2021. So again, we are in Zoom. Don't be shy. The way we do an advising session is not like an interview or something like that. It's more like relaxed, more laid back. I just, like I always start with like try to get to know you. So I'm not helping you just so that like the technical aspect of your application, but then I also would like to get to know you so that when it comes to essay review, for example, it will be easier for the both of us to like brainstorm it together and stuff like that. So yeah, like this is a perfect timing for you to start and email us, or just simply go ahead in Zoom. I've been quite busy. In fact, last night I have to turn down one person just because we had an essay session. But just so you know that there are already some other fellow Indonesians who are already doing advising with us, and I want you to be also the next. So yeah, and thank you so much for joining in this session. Stay tuned to our yet amazing topics next week. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All
Okay, back to
right.
Fifi.
All right. Thank you to Santika and Fina. Thank you for our Education USA advisor. Thank you for sharing the great session tonight. And of course, for answering all the questions from our audience. And earlier in the event, guys, we asked you guys about true or false. Harvard provides resumes and cover letter examples to be viewed on their website. And the correct answer is yes, true. Harvard does provide examples of resumes and cover letters on their website. They also include tips and a page of action verbs to help students write their resumes and cover letters. And congratulations to Antonius Reynaldo for answering correctly. Yay! Congratulations, Anton. Thank you to everyone who has participated. Don't forget to tune in next time and get a chance to get a shout out from us. Now, you may be wondering how can you develop an awesome idea for a place like this? Don't worry, you can send an event proposal to us by visiting our website at www.adamerica.org.id. Select create a program and go to collaborate with us. All proposal coming to us will be reviewed and your event might be featured here soon.